Welcome to yet another Tuesday Timely Torah Talks. Tonight we have with us a very special guest all the way from Cleveland, Ohio, Rabbi Pinchas Landis. Welcome, Rabbi. How you doing?
Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to be here. Although I got to say, as somebody who grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and lives now in Cleveland, usually when I cross the Verrazano Bridge, I just start getting depressed to that first person that honks at me. But just being able to come to Chazaq and be with you and be with the staff, it uplifts me, makes me happy again. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It is our pleasure as well. Thank you for all that you do for Quality Torah and the partnership that we've had with all these sharing programs and lectures. Yad Torah, we should continue spreading Torah all over the world. And we're going to jump straight into it, Rabbi. Tonight's topic is summer, slumber. But actually, before we jump into tonight's exciting topic, maybe you can give us and our listeners a little bit of a background about yourself, Rabbi.
Sure, it's my pleasure. I can talk about one of my favorite topics, me. Always love talking about it. So as I said, I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. I am the middle of three children. And our family is so deep in Atlanta, Georgia, that right now we have three generations alive. My parents, me and my siblings, and my children, my nieces and nephews. And every single person in the family in those three generations lives in Atlanta, except for me, my wife, and my children. So we're like the the black sheep of the family that we live outside of Atlanta. But be it as may, I'm sorry, four generations. I have a step grandmother, Zolzai Gazun, who's 101 years old. She should live and be well. And we're the only ones who live outside of Atlanta. And what happened to me that I ended up getting kicked out of the city, leaving the city, was that when I was in high school, roughly 16 years old, I was your average public school kid, like many of the children that Chazaq helps along and helps to transition to yeshivas. And I wanted to go to yeshiva. Now, in those days, there wasn't Chazaq, and there for sure wasn't Chazaq in Atlanta, Georgia. So I suffered my way through I did okay, through public school, but learning as much as I could, connecting with the Atlanta Kollel. And once I finished high school, I went on to yeshiva. I studied for 1 year in Yeshiva University in New York City, 2 years in Or Sameach and Eretz Yisrael, and then many years in Ner Yisrael in Baltimore, where I eventually was able to fool them into giving me smicha and married my beautiful wife. I had a bunch of kids in Baltimore, moved on to my first job in Cincinnati, Ohio. By the way, if you think of Cincinnati as just a sleepy little Midwest town, you're 100% right, because Mark Twain himself said about Cincinnati that when the world comes to an end, he wants to be in Cincinnati because they find out about everything there 20 years late. So, that's Cincinnati for you. I worked in Kiruv. I worked in Jewish outreach there and had my own congregation. I was a congregational rabbi for about 4 out of the 8 years I was there. And towards the end of that time period, I really missed just frontline Jewish education. I really did not like the politics of congregational life. So I had an opportunity to move to Cleveland to establish a branch of Partners Cleveland. Partners Cleveland is a program connected to Partners Detroit. That was the original program in Detroit, Michigan. And the idea is we offer Jewish learning opportunities to Jews all across the city, and now really with virtual programming all across the world. And one of our flagship programs is we have people learn one-on-one, but not with educators, not with professionals, with lay leaders. So we have a group of 100 volunteers right now who learn with our students. So it's not only our rabbis and our educators providing the education, but we empower lay people to become makeshift or temporary educators through many of our programs. And we run programs all over Cleveland. We now run virtual programs all over the world. And, for the most part, that's what keeps me off the streets and out of trouble. So if anyone would like to know anything more, you can reach out to me, rabbilandis.com or torahcleveland.com, and I'll tell you anything you want to know.
Rabbi Landis, wow, that is so impressive, unbelievable. Yad Torah, continue spreading the Torah. You continue doing those amazing work. Partners Cleveland, and it's amazing to have you on the program. And tonight's topic is summer or slumber. We are right now in the middle of the summer season. Rabbi, what does this topic mean to you?
So this is such a complicated topic because you have the ongoing issue of a Jew, and this is an issue for a Jew no matter where they are on the Jewish spectrum, that how do we synthesize who we are as a people with the land that we are living in and the country we are living in. So, as you said, it's the summertime. Summertime means summer vacation, and it means it's usually, if you live in most places, it's warmer than usual. If you live in Cleveland, there's actually no snow on the ground for a few days, and it's a culture of getting outside, having fun, going to the beach, going on vacation, going to, I think in New York, you go to Six Flags. Here in Cleveland, we go to Cedar Point. But whenever you get out there, you do things. It's whether you're a student in school or a professional, it's all going to be different in the summer. And that actually, if you think about it from a Jewish perspective, is very complicated, because what does the summer really mean to us if we think about it? Well, we're holding now by just a few days after Tu B'Av and a week plus after Tisha B'Av. So we had the 3 weeks of mourning where we focus on Jewish history, which is one of my favorite topics, and all the tragedies we've had. Now we're supposed to grow from those tragedies and how we're trying to be better people and become a better Jewish nation. And then, like, as soon as we end that, we begin what's called the 7 weeks of comfort, the Shiva Shua Shel Nechamta, the 7 weeks of comfort as we climb up to Rosh Hashanah. And 3 weeks into it, just another week and a half or so from now, we have the last 4 weeks of that, which is Elul, which is like Jewish self-help month, a Jewish development month, where we start blowing the shofar. We say, wake up from your slumber and become better people, and think about everything you've done wrong, and think about what you want to change and how you want to become a better person, etc., etc., etc. And this just doesn't work with the summer theme in America, or in Canada, or in Australia, or in Zimbabwe, wherever you're listening to this today. It's actually winter in Australia, but that's a different point. But it doesn't make sense, because the summer concept is summer is the time off. Leave me alone, Rabbi. Why are you giving me such a hard time? Like, you're gonna start blowing the shofar in my ear, and I'm still hanging out at the beach. I mean, you think about it. Rosh Chodesh Elul, the first day of the month of Elul, the month where we start blowing the shofar and start preparing for Rosh Hashanah, is August 8th. I mean, if you are in New York, I think it's considered a Issa D'Oraisa, as a Torah prohibition, if on August 8th you're in the city and you're not in the bungalow colonies. I mean, it's the middle of the summer and you're blowing the shofar. As people often say, this year, the holidays are coming very early. To which I always answer, they're never early or late. They're always right on time. But we have our Looney solar calendar, and I get it. It's early on the secular calendar, on the solar calendar. So it's a conundrum. It's a contradiction that, from a Jewish perspective, we're really, and the Vilna Gaon explains this, we're in like the most serious time of the year, going from the 3 weeks Tisha B'Av, the morning, which, I'm sure everyone watched the amazing Chazaq Tisha B'Av program with so much inspiration. And like, you take that inspiration and you want to become a better Jew, but America's telling you to go to a baseball game, right? Like, what's that all about? Or like, basketball is still going on, which I haven't figured that one out yet. Maybe someone can explain to me why the basketball season is still going on. I think it has something to do with the coronavirus, but again, I don't get it. So Judaism is telling you serious introspection, become better, and the rest of the world is saying like go get on a boat and water ski. So it's a conundrum. And as a rabbi, as an educator, and as caring, sincere Jews, we really have to synthesize this, because we don't believe in sheltering ourselves, not living in the world that's around us. We believe in being an Or Lagola, a light into the nations, and improving the world around us. It's not to go too far aside, but it's the difference between Noah and the flood story, and Avraham Avinu and our father Abraham. Noah believed that he could try and improve himself in the world by just bottling himself up in an ark, right? Whereas Abraham went out and tried to make the world a better place. So therefore, that's what I really struggle with this time of year. That the contradiction, the conundrum, the discrepancy between what Judaism, what our Torah says we should be focusing on this time of year, and on the flip side, the reality of the fact that it is warmer outside, that if you want to go to Six Flags Great Adventure, there's the only time it's open. If you want to go to the bungalows, there's the only time you're allowed, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a challenge, and that's really, just to sum it up, that's what this topic means to me tonight. The challenge of what it means to be a Jew, in many ways, comes out during these months of the year.
Amazing, Rabbi, and we're going to discuss this further. And as we all know, we live in a fast-paced world where we barely get to sit down, and especially during the summer, we have a little bit more time on our hands. So maybe you could please delve into the importance of using relaxation for a constructive purpose. On a personal level, Rabbi, I don't relate to this question. We don't understand the concept of relaxing over here at Chazaq, and maybe you could shed some light to our listeners and all those around the world.
Yeah, beautiful. And you know, I'm with you because especially with the introduction we just gave as a Jewish educator, like this is crunch time. Like we all went off of our huge Tisha B'Av programs, which we didn't sleep for days leading up to it to prepare it. And then the day Tisha B'Av ends, we're working on the Elul programs now. And it's forget about sleeping. Like it's crunch time. But, you know, I'll give you just a personal example, because next week the Landises are going on their first vacation in over a year, right? We didn't, because of the pandemic last year, we didn't leave Cleveland. We really didn't do anything other than hang out at home. And now we're getting ready to go on a family vacation. God willing, my sister-in-law is getting married in August 11th, and we're going down to see my parents in Atlanta. The wedding's in Miami. We're going to go to the Smoky Mountains, a whole 12 days away, which will be very nice. But, you know, we have to remember what the point of all these things are. You know, there's, first of all, you know, as a father and as a parent watching, for all the parents out there, I'm sure you can relate to this idea that there's a big difference between a trip and a vacation. Right? We all get that difference, right? Maybe for those of us who are listening, who don't have the blessing of children, you might not get the difference yet, but there's a trip and there's a vacation, right? And we, Baruch Hashem, have 5 children. This is everyone's home. As of yesterday, my daughter came home from camp. Everyone's home for the first time almost. We had a few days before they left for camp, but my daughter's in Eretz Yisrael usually during the year. My son's away in yeshiva during the year. So we have everyone home. We're going on a trip. And it's going to be exhausting, right? We're going to pack up in the car, and we got to, and you know, for those of you in New York who aren't familiar with the Smoky Mountains, it's not like the Catskill Mountains. There's no Glot Mart. There's no Dougie. I don't know, is Dougie still around? Whatever. There's, you know, you don't have all the, like, I always thought the funniest thing when as a Cleveland/Atlanta Jew, when I go to the Catskills and like you walk into these mountain shacks, and that's really what they look like. They look like they're about to fall down if you blow on them, and you go in and you feel like all of a sudden you're in Brooklyn, right? It's as nice as any grocery store restaurant in Brooklyn on the inside. They don't have that in the Smoky Mountains. So we got to shop our own food and our meat and our everything, and our cheese and our milk and all this stuff and pack in the car. We have to bring a car top carrier for the kids. I mean, for the luggage, and it's going to be exhausting from beginning to end. So what's the point of it all? The point of it all is I'll tell you what I believe it is. And I'm speaking as a father. For kids listening, maybe we'll say a different idea, but I guess probably the same idea for anyone in the family. It's about creating memories. I mean, I think back of my childhood, and I think back of my, whatever it is, 20 years that I've been a parent. And that's how we've looked at our trips, that they're not only about getting away, getting out of the environment, doing something different, change the scenery, etc. But it's about creating memories, because, you know, let's face it, if you do the same thing day in and day out, it does all blur together. You know, it all becomes one big mush and all the same. You don't remember yesterday from today. And as a family, you want to build bonds, not only a husband to a wife and a wife to a husband, but the parents to the children to the parents, etc. And that's therefore what it's all about. I think that's how we should look at the extra time that we have, that we're going to do things, whether it's going on a trip or a barbecue at the bungalow or a baseball game outside or whatever it is, that it's time to build memories. And that's really how we should look at it. And by the way, this is really a word of caution, because if you go into it thinking that everything's going to be perfect, that none of your kids are going to fight, that you're actually going to relax, that, you know, forget it. You're going to the wrong place. But you should embrace all that, knowing that, you know, God forbid, you're going to get a flat tire, knowing that your kids are going to, after the 6 hours into the car ride, they're going to be a few fights that might break out, right? Knowing that you'll get to the cabin and I don't know, the Wi-Fi won't work. I don't know. You know, there's going to be issues. But if you go into the mindset, you're creating memories, then you turn all of those incidents into part of the memory. And it's all as you, as the trip leader, as the counselor, as the parent, whoever it is, it's all how you deal with it, and you deal with these experiences, and you deal with these things that really define if you're creating memories or positive memories or not so positive memories. I once heard from a friend of mine, I think it was Rabbi David Markowitz from Olami, who told me, Olami is a big campus, right? Exactly, a great friend of mine too. So they do a lot of campus outreach and young professionals outreach. And he used to work for an organization. He used to work for Aish Torah, and before that, an organization in Los Angeles. And he was telling me once that when they would run trips to Israel, one of the best parts of the trip was when the bus would break down. Yeah. And he was like, Rabbi, you insane? Maybe the hotel or I don't know, Mitzada. But when the bus breaks down, that's the best time. He's 100% because his staff would go into action to help use it to build bonds, to have conversations, to get deeper conversations that they could usually get that were hard to get in when you're running from place to place and doing things. So in short, I think that's how we should look at the summer. There's more time on our hands. We're going to do things with our kids or our family or our friends. Make sure that you go into the mindset of I'm building memories, number one. And number two, whatever doesn't go along with my plan, that's okay. I'm going to use it as a building block in these memories.
What a powerful lesson, Rabbi Landis. I love it. Wow, you inspired me. I could definitely relate with the children and going out and stuff like that. But that is really, really, really powerful. Moving on to the next question, Rabbi Landis, is that one might feel that during the summer, I might not have to be as careful and one can be more lax and quote unquote, slumber about our Judaism. Until, like the rabbi mentioned before, Elul comes. Can you please discuss this phenomenon and how we can tackle this? The summer is not a time, of course you could relax, like the rabbi said, the importance of taking the family out and building memories, but it doesn't mean that a person should miss out on minyanim or miss out or not, God forbid, keep kosher. Rabbi, if you could shed some light on that.
Sure, excellent question, thank you. So, I'll share with you a piece of advice that I was once given from one of my teachers. And this was in the context of yeshiva, being a rabbinical student. But I think it's a lesson that can apply to anyone. And one of my teachers would tell us before we went home for the vacation from yeshiva, that while we're on vacation, he said, obviously you're not going to learn as much. You're spending time with your family, you're resting, you're catching up on your sleep, which is important, et cetera, but make sure that when you're home, that you learn at least a little bit every day, and that learning is different than what you do in yeshiva. In other words, when we're in yeshiva, we usually are focused on, we were doing rabbinical learning, we were focused on certain areas of Jewish law, or before that on certain tractates of the Talmud. But he said, take the opportunity to learn something different. Everyone has different things they enjoy. Some people like the philosophical Hasidus and Kabbalah and Maharal and that stuff. And other people like more practical Jewish law. And other people like the stories of the Bible, of Tanakh. And during the year, let's say you don't get the time to do it because you have your regular, let's say, classes you go to, you have your Chazaq programs that you watch, you have your whatever it is, your Torah Anytime programs that you watch. But, now you're going to be on the trip. You're going to have 4 hours in the car. You're going to have, 6 hours, whatever it is. So let's extrapolate this idea from my teacher and say, do something different. In other words, take the opportunity when you're in the car, as opposed to listening to, Uncle Moishe tapes and NPR or whatever it might be. Listen to something else. He said, you know what? I always wanted to listen to that guy Landis on Torah Anytime. I think he's pretty quack. He's a quack and a Southern boy, and he'll throw in y'all every now and then. I'm gonna go check out this guy Landis or whatnot. But I think that's one way we can look at it. Yeah, we might think we have to. We don't have our. If you're a student, you don't have school. If you're a parent, you might not have your weekly classes, whatever it might be. So you might say, okay, I can be lax now. So approach that, because of course we never want to be lax. We never want to slumber. Life is I always give the example, life is a down escalator, right? So it's like when you're a kid and you're at a mall or a hotel or something, had this big escalator, and we all did the same thing. We would try and walk up the down escalator, right? And if you were strong enough and persevered, you could get to the top that way, but it took a lot more effort. Or the way that if you're used to boating or kayaking or these type of things, like going downriver or up versus upriver. Or if you ever notice when you fly to Eretz Yisrael and you fly to Israel, it's I forget which way is which, but one way takes 10 hours, one way takes 12 hours. right? And it all depends if the headwinds are with you or against you. So life is always such that the headwinds are always against you. The escalator is always going down, right? You're always going upstream. That's just life. So if you sit back and do nothing, you're going to lose traction. So with the way that we can, I think, combat being in a different environment, say, I'm going to do something different. Learning. I'm going to find something different to learn, right? I can give you some suggestions. I'm a big fan of, he's actually there in Queens, like you guys, Rabbi Lyman, Rabbi Dr. Schneur Lyman. I'm for those of you who follow my stuff, I'm very into history. So Rabbi Lyman has a book on Tanakh, how Tanakh was organized. I've been waiting to read this book forever. I'm taking it on vacation with me, right? There's a great biography that came out recently from Jonathan Rosenblum, a biography of Noach Weinberg. I'm taking on vacation with me, and I don't get time to sit back and read, but on vacation I'll get to, and that'll be something different. And look, where it gets complicated, obviously, is like you said, with things like prayer, with kashrus, with keeping kosher on the road, with praying on the road, praying with a minyan on the road, which are all very important things. So here's the one piece of advice I'll give on that. We know it's important. Right? We know there's never an excuse to be lax, and whatever our level is, we want to maintain that level and keep that level going in the right direction. So this point will apply to you, whatever your level is. And that is that, yes, if you don't anticipate the down escalator / down river / headwinds, then they're going to knock you over. But if you anticipate it and you prepare for it, you'll win the race every time. So for example, if you're somebody like, I have a very, very, very close friend. He actually was the MC at my wedding, Yaakov Lieder in Baltimore. So until the pandemic, so he's about my age, I'm about 43, let's say maybe he's 42. So from his bar mitzvah till he was 40, 41, however old he was last year, he had never missed a minyan. In other words, he had never ever, right? He had never missed praying with 10 men, Shachris, Mincha, Mariv, morning, evening, afternoon, ever from his bar mitzvah till he was 41, almost 30 straight years without missing a minyan, because he was somebody who took minyan very, very seriously. Now, did that mean that he didn't go on vacation? No, obviously he went on vacation, but he planned it out, and he only went on a vacation where he was sure he wouldn't miss a minyan. I remember when we went down to my wedding from Baltimore and Miami, it was in June. So, the sunset was like, I don't know, 8:30 or something like that. So there's going to be plenty of time to dive in the afternoon service to pray the afternoon service when we got to Florida. We were leaving at Baltimore like 12 o'clock or something like that. But he made sure that we prayed in the airport so that we wouldn't miss the minyan, even though we were getting to Miami with like 6 or 7 hours to go. He said, we're all going to pray in the airport because that's the only way I'm going. Now, that's because he would plan things out, right? He said, I'm going on this trip. I want to make sure I don't miss a minyan. Therefore, I'll dive in the afternoon service here, the evening service there, the morning service there, and I won't miss anything. And that's what it boils down to. If somebody is careful to put on tefillin every single day, do you think you will be successful on your trip and putting on tefillin every day if you forget your tefillin at home? No, but if you prepare, just like you're going to remember your suntan lotion and your camera and your flip flops and whatnot, you're going to pack your tefillin. So whatever your level is, treat vacation like that too. You want to keep the same level, prepare, think about it. And just like you're going to AAA to get all the best deals and Dan's deals and what's not, to make sure that you're planning on an awesome trip, plan it out spiritually too. Say, I don't want to slip while I'm on vacation. Let's plan it out and make sure I stay on my level.
Great suggestion, Rabbi Landis. Love it. We have to be prepared. We have to get ready. We have to know what we're getting into. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So that leads us to the next question, Rabbi Landis. How can we use the time period of the summer to uplift those around us and to show them the beauty of Judaism? How do we use the summer to, I guess, for lack of better words, bring those that are far and near?
Beautiful, beautiful. So, one of my teachers always says that, don't learn from what I say, learn from what I do. Now, that doesn't mean that he doesn't say what he does. What he means is he spends time trying to explain certain ways on how to do things and how to grow and how to be better. And he's really an ish emes. He's a true person, true to his word, that he's saying that if you don't get it from my words, from my teachings, look at how I do it. I take prayer very seriously. So I'm going to teach a class on prayer and teach you how to pray and this and how to shuckle and all the good stuff. And but it's one thing if I teach it, I don't act it. So I think, first of all, for all our watchers, all our listeners here tonight, you just look at Chazaq. right? They're always 24/7. I get the emails. I have to say the Chazaq emails are the longest email I get all week long. Like it takes you literally, I think, about 45 minutes to scroll through the whole thing in a normal scroll because they're doing so many amazing things all the time, 24/7, 365 or 354 if you're on the Jewish calendar. But they're taking the opportunity, especially during these time periods that we said are so serious. 3 weeks going on to Elul and bringing out the inspiration of this day and of these days. And I think that's what we have to do as we talk to our fellow Jew, might be not as connected, might be more connected, wherever it is on the spectrum. We have to look at all the opportunities to bring out the amazing, from a Jewish perspective, the amazing ideas, the amazing concepts that are literally right here in the summertime and not miss the boat, so to speak. Rav Dessler, the Michtam Eliyahu, explains that the world, when the Almighty created the world, the Torah predated the physical creation. So therefore, there's a concept, Histakah B'Reisa B'Ari Alma. The Almighty had the concept of Torah, and then he used Torah to create the world. In other words, the Torah was the instruction book, the Torah was the blueprint, and the world was created as a fulfillment center for the Torah. So the way that works is there's certain flows of holiness that come into the world on every single day, week, year, and specific season. And therefore, when we come up now to the month of Elul and the Yom Noraim, the days of Awe and Sukkot, etc., that's not just like days on the calendar. It's not like the butcher shop came up with that when they made the Jewish calendars and just stuck it on there. No, that's intrinsic in creation. God himself, the Almighty, when he created the world, he put these flows of holiness into the world at these times, and they're there. Now, we can just miss them. It's possible. It's similar to back in the day before we had smartphones, internet, computer, all these different amenities we have today. We had this thing called a radio. I don't know if you've ever seen it before. It was a little box you could turn on, it had noise come out of it, people talking or music. So the way that the radio worked is that it was it would catch signals, what called radio waves or radio signals, and the box or on your car, or wherever it was, it would transmit those into either song or talk radio or whatever it was, and you could listen to it. Now, whether or not you had a radio, those radio waves were in the room. And I'll even take it one step further. Radios still exist today. And therefore, those radio waves are in the room right now, but we're not hearing them. Why? Because we're not tuned in. We don't have the box turned on. We don't have the radio turned on. So right now, these flows of holiness are coming in the world. Right now, it's the 7 weeks of comfort, building up from Tisha B'Av to Rosh Hashanah. So it's the theme of comfort coming into the world. It's a time period of comfort. We read this past Shabbos in the Haftarah, the words of the prophet Isaiah, Nachmu, Nachmu, Nachmu Ami, you should be comforted, my nation. And every one of these next 6 weeks, we're going to talk about the idea of comfort. It's a time period of comfort, remembering the Almighty's with us, remembering that no matter what our struggles are in this world, that someone's got our back. The ultimate someone has our back. And that's the flow that's coming into this world. So whether or not we turn on the radio, the flow is there. But we got to just turn on the radio. Got to take that moment to turn on to the radio and plug in, because that's what's happening in the world right now, and we don't want to miss it.
Wow, what powerful words, Rabbi Landis. Amazing, phenomenal, great. Myself, the listeners, because we're all enjoying so much. But time has come for the final last question, which is a final message that the rabbi can give all of us, which is timely, something that potentially is connected some way, somehow to this amazing topic that you can leave to our broader audience.
Awesome. So I'm going to give you one last idea of some of the things we said about summertime, about not missing the amazing opportunities for growth, opportunities for connection that we have in the summer. And that is another thing that just always, kind of blows my mind how it works out. But in the summertime, we read the book of Deuteronomy. We read the last book in the Torah. And what is the last book in the Torah? The last book in the Torah is different from the other four, right? The first 4 books of the Torah are all the record that the Almighty told Moshe to write down as to different things that happen in our history, as to the commandments of the Torah, etc. That's the first 4 books of the Torah. The 5th book, Deuteronomy, is Moshe Rabbeinu, our teacher Moses' last will and testament, his last speech to the Jewish people. It was a 5-week speech. It was the last 5 weeks of his life. And he gave over just the Latin, if you know what a last will and testament is, his life's purpose, his ideas, the final teachings to the Jewish people. And I believe it was Reb Chaim Shmulevitz who said that if someone wants to learn ethics and Jewish philosophy, all they have to do is look at the book of Deuteronomy. And we take out such amazing things. And I'll share with you one of those things that just always inspires me. It was in last week's Torah reading. It's going to be in a few weeks again. It's a few times Moshe brings this up in the book of Deuteronomy. And it's the idea that for us as Jews, that there's always somebody there. There's always someone there who's looking out for us, who's taking care of us. And no matter how difficult the road gets in front of us, the Almighty has our back. And no matter how much we push him away, as we were apt to do throughout Jewish history. And by the way, Moshe in his infinite prophetic wisdom talks about it. He says, it's going to be a rough ride for you guys. You know why? Because you as the Jewish people are going to try so hard to push the Almighty away. You're gonna go into the land of Israel and you're gonna worship idols and practice the way of the nations surrounding the land of Israel. And you're gonna end up, the Almighty is gonna give you every chance to change and to improve, and you're not gonna take it. You're gonna get kicked out. You're gonna be scattered across the world. The nations of the world are gonna try and destroy you. But through all that, and one of the most amazing prophecies of all time, Moshe says, through all that, you're going to survive. You're going to survive it all. You're going to beat them all. And in the end, you're going to return to the land of Israel. Now, we, my friends, are the first Jews since the destruction of, not the second temple, since the destruction of the first temple, to see the majority of the world Jewish population living in the land of Israel. Amazing, right? Like Rabbi David Gottlieb from Or Sameach once gave a mathematical probability that, like, if you take the prophecies that Moses lays out in the book of Deuteronomy and say at the time when he said them, what's the mathematical probability of these coming to fruition? It was like 1 in 16,000 chance of these things becoming true. Yet we all see every single thing that we read about coming true, that we're going to return. The Almighty always has our backs. And just like we see those things and we know it's true, that through these times of the summer, which we said, we got the conundrum that summertime, yet Judaism, and how's it all reconcile and how's it all come together? And through these challenging times we're having, we have to remember that just like we look at the story of Jewish destiny, of Jewish history, and we see that's all come true as Moshe told us is going to come true, so too the Almighty loves us, like it says in there. The Almighty is there for us. He's rooting for us. And no matter where we succeed or where we fail, he's always going to be there to pick us up, and he's never going to forsake us. And that's the idea we have to take as we're going through these times of trying to figure things out with summer and being a Jew, the times of the challenging times on the calendar and what's happening in the world. And we have to remember that he always has our back. Sometimes all we have to do is reach out and turn on that radio. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This was awesome.
Rabbi Landis, what chizuk, what inspiration. Really, really, really amazing. Really appreciate it. That did Torah, continue spreading Torah. Thank you very much for all your partnership, all that you do for Klal Yisrael. It was mamash very, very inspiring, Rabbi Landis.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure to be here. And anytime you want me, I'm always. It's a pleasure to jump in your studio and to be part of your show.
We really appreciate it, Rabbi Landis, and we will definitely be in touch. We want to remind all of our viewers every single Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have special guests, various different timely Torah talks, and looking forward to B'ezras Hashem continuing these great talks. And Rabbi Landis, looking forward to seeing you in the Yerushalayim of Bniyah, with the Geulah Shlema, the complete redemption as we come speeding our days. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you so much. I hope that's what you wanted.
Rabbi, wow, that was really good.
You just woke me up from my slumber.
I'll tell you a funny story. When I was in yeshiva, I did a seed program in Sydney, Australia. And I was in this like office building giving a lunch and learn. And I tend to be a little loud and excited, as you see.
Yeah, that
and
was great.
Afterwards, there's a lady who's sitting there like this. And I said, are there any questions? And she said, "You're really loud." Anyhow,
being really loud could be a good thing for the speaker world.
I try. But thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Very our appreciation to you, Rabbi. And regards to DJG,
Well, I will send. It's impressive. You actually know his last name. He told me most people in New York don't know his real last name.
No, they think it's Joshua.
I think
I actually know we had somewhat of a cashier, and he's really. I correct me if I'm wrong. He's the one that really introduced you to the Torah time Chazaq world.
Exactly. Yeah, he was pushing me on a long time to get involved. He didn't let Shimon and Ruben. They now have officially a moratorium on letting new speakers on because they have so many, but he pushed them to actually give me a chance. So
no, they don't have. What did you say? They're not.
They're not. They're at least when I went on 3 years ago or something. At the time, they weren't accepting new speakers.
No, they still don't.
Right.
I have people reaching out to me all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we can see here and there now, right? But I was telling Robbie, one of the things we're doing now is I don't know if you saw this Torah Anyone program. So,
yes, I heard
about that. Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, we're working hard on that. So,
Rabbi Landis is like spearheading that, no?
yeah, I mean, yeah, whatever. I mean, they had put it this way. We separately had the idea. I approached the Kol Yaakovs about it. They had the idea, but they're doing 15,000 million things. And I basically said, well, look, I'll run with it if you'll let me. And they said, fine, run with it. So that's what's happening.
And the Rabbi's getting involved with Rabbi
Slumber.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
Amazing. Over 1,000 neshamas already saved, Rabbi.
Trying
4 years more or less.
We got one hopefully in progress. It's a tough one, but they're all tough ones. And then we're figuring out how to do like Rabbi and I were talking, and Rabbi Rubinoff making it a thing here. So
are you ever in the New York area, Rabbi?
So I keep telling Robbie I gotta get up there one of these days. So I will, and he knows that. I was supposed to be up there for a chasana in the early spring. I ended up not making it, but I will definitely let you guys know if I'm.
Let us know in advance. Robbie will put some stuff together. Robbie's. We just had to. Who was here?
But Yossi, your neighbor.
Yossi, my neighbor.
Yossi Ben Shushan?
Yossi lives about 3 houses down from me. I could open my front door and yell at him if I wanted to.
That is funny. Okay.
Yeah, he's. In fact, we're doing something. We're doing a live event together. We haven't done a live event together in like forever. We've done a lot of these like pretend live events. But we're doing a real bona fide live event in a few weeks together. It's gonna be in Cleveland. It's gonna be part of it's gonna be part of Torah Anyone on the for the live stream and all that. But we're doing a TED Talk type thing. So with me and him.
Beautiful. Okay,
yeah.
Great, amazing, good stuff, Rabbi. The community in Cleveland is growing. What's the matzah there?
Yeah, it's growing like crazy. Part of it is we have school choice here, which means school vouchers.
Right,
so you get about I think for elementary school it's like $5,500, and for high school I think it's $7,000.
Maybe I'll move.
Exactly. So even before you have to start with a tuition committee, it's you're already ahead of the game. So it's that's attractive. Like the cost of living is much less than the East Coast.
How many people know that, by the way? There should be some some recruiting over here. You'll get a lot of the time because young couples like myself, 5, 6 kinder, it's hard with the tuition. So.
Yeah, exactly, and it has a lot of people just for that, because the word gets out about it, and they because like you said, tuition is I know I could get a new Tesla every year with what I spend on tuition. So but the guys like me and you, we have to go out and raise the money for it. Guys who are on the workforce, it's very hard because again, I don't want to say fundraising is easy, but at the end of the day, I look at the budget, I raise the money we need, and I raise it. But when you're talking about and I do that for my staff because I know everyone has kids in school. So, but when you're talking about a ball of bus, let's say if a guy has like a regular job making, I don't know, $70,000, $80,000 a year, you just can't live on that. So you kind of place like Cleveland where they're at least covering some of the tuition for you, and houses are, you get into a house for $200,000. It's and they even just opened Grove here. Like we have a Grove here now. It's like unbelievable. You know what Grove is?
$200,000 a home, you said?
No, $200,000.
$200,000. It's a joke.
Yeah, you could get in a home for $200,000. Wow. That's a small home. That's a small home, but still, yeah. So that's
Rabbi Landis, your shakach once again. Really,
thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to seeing the final product.